Okay, are we ready?
I am ready.
Already setting born ready.
Okay. You want to introduce this time?
Yeah, okay. I don't know, but I'll try. Hey, welcome everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Uh, this is Buying Time Podcast. Uh, my name is Saravanan, and along with me there is Liz Parrish. We thought we will do something a little different this time. What is different? All along we've been talking about how to live longer. This time we thought we will go out of the format and try and see why you should live longer.
Okay, so why you should live longer and what you will do with your time. This is an interesting conversation because I think it's a conversation that a lot of people sort of lack, and that's projecting yourself forward in the future and to project yourself into a mindset and a mindset of living longer and sort of mapping out what you would do at that time might actually help you live longer.
You know what? You are in your 50s, you're in your 60s, you're in your 40s. Imagine that you're going to have another 40 years, 50 years. What do you do with that time? The answers that they give usually falls into just two buckets. Bucket number one is that many of these people, I had a dream when I was 20 years old. I had a dream when I was 15 years old, 25 years old. But my life took on different direction. Now that I got another 30, 40 years time, I will go back and live that dream. Is one bucket of answer. The other bucket of answer that I usually get is, this is a plan that I got for my 60s. This is a plan that I got for my 70s. I am going to continue living that for another 30, 40 years. Anyway, I think this lacks a lot of imagination. What do you think, Liz? What would you do? I know that you're going to live for another 30, 40, 50 years time. What will you do?
Well, I mean, what I won't do is hesitate like a lot of people do when they talk to me about this. So I get a different set of answers than you do, and usually the most common answer is that they say that they don't want to live old longer. So the people that I talk to seem to think that regenerative medicine and longevity means being sick and old longer. You don't get that at all? I get that. I get that a lot.
Oh, I get it a lot. And then you tell them, okay, imagine that you will not only live longer, but you are likely to be healthier 10 years, 20 years, 30 years than you are today. What if you are physically fitter? What if you are mentally sharper than you are today for another 30 years? What will you do then?
Yeah, so that's where I go next is that, the whole idea isn't to make you live sicker longer. The whole idea is to help you be healthier longer. And if you had healthy active years and you felt as good as you do today, or in some cases for some people better than you do today, what would you do with that time? And then that seems to really put people almost in a state of shock, like how do they get their head around that? And then I think that, as you said, I think that they think that they would just carry on as they do, and that makes sense because that's what most people do. We squander time. I saw a quote recently that was really hit home to me about what I see often in the world, and it said that youth is wasted on the young, and time is just wasted otherwise on the old. So I think that a lot of people don't understand their full potential. And if they did, they would be out doing more, fully engaged. Okay, you're going to live longer, so therefore you'll be retired longer. I mean, I feel like I will never retire. I may go to the board of a company instead of running a company, but I'm always going to be engaged. There's always something that I want to do or some problem I want to solve. So I think number one, we have to get rid of the mindset of retirement, because retirement is like where people go to die. For a lot of people, I think it means kind of tuning out. You have a lifetime of quality learning. Don't tune out at the end. Let's use that for a valuable experience. And it doesn't mean doing something difficult. It means just using all that value that you've gained over life to make the world a better place for other people. It's engaging. It's fun. It's community.
Liz, can we do this 20 questions? Is that you have 10 questions and I have 10 questions, right? Things like, if you can solve any problem that you can pick up and solve today, what would that be? That would be my first question. And then maybe my next question would be, I don't know what. If you had limitless amount of money, what would you do? Or if you don't have to work in order to make money, what would you do? Like that, if I can come up with maybe 10 questions, 10 hypothetical questions of how the future will be. Should we do this?
Absolutely. I have immediately I have answers for all of those. Like you're just saying those and I know the answers to those. And in my
Fantastic.
mind.
So I'll start. Okay, I'll start. So the first question, you would like to solve, you just told me that you would love to use your time to solve some problem. What would be one big problem that you can think of that you want to solve? You want to spend another 10, 20 years?
Yeah. So the problem that I work on right now is curing biological aging. So making sure that we don't die of heart disease, dementia, cancer, and those leading causes of death. Secondly, then after that, I would start working on the environment and clean energy. And then thirdly, I would like to work on new food sources.
First, aging. What is aging to you? I'm still in my first question, right? I'm not going into my second question, so I have 9 more to ask. So what is aging to you?
Aging is cellular degeneration over time. So there's 2 forms of aging. One is chronological, and that's getting older by years, and I want you to do that. And the other one is biological aging, and that is defined by cellular degeneration over time. So you can think of it as a programmed process or not, but that's how I define it.
Okay, so if you beat aging, does it mean that all of us are going to become younger by every passing year? Is that what you're trying to work on?
We would be in a state of homeostasis. And so that means that we would repair as fast as we degenerate or a little bit faster, hopefully.
Okay, fantastic. So we may become the Benjamin Button. If not, we will remain forever young, forever 40. Okay, good.
Well, maybe, hopefully we would target it back to about 28 to 30 because your likelihood of dying of disease at those ages is super low. And so if we can keep your cells behaving youthfully and at that age, you have a very low likelihood of dying of the diseases of aging.
Fantastic. And why it is important for you? Why is it top on the list for you?
It's important because I don't want to leave our children with the same diseases that we die from. Well, I want to ask you, what do you want to do in the next 20 to 30 years? What would you do? What are you going to do with your time? What are you going to do?
Well, next 20 years, definitely I have it. So you don't need age extension. Incidentally, I went and got a CAT score. I got 0, meaning which my blood vessels are fantastic. I went and got an MRI done, so there's no dementia in the brain. And then I went and got a Doppler done day before yesterday. This is just check the blood circulation on all major blood vessels. Came out clean. There's a little bit of problem on one of the spinal, one of the columns in the spine, and that's okay. I'm sure I'll find a way to reverse it. That's very minor. So definitely about 20, 30 years. And in case if we can come with some gene therapy, probably I'll make this turn black. Otherwise, anyway, I'm here. So what am I going to do for next 20, 30 years time? I would like to see if I can build something very impactful in the longevity space. Now, what is very impactful in the longevity space? It's not just about living longer. I'm sure you're going to take care of that. And I would love to eventually see if I can help people become much more mentally capable than they are today. Mentally capable in whatever way that is important for them. That is what is floating my boat. The only science that we have available is help people fix whatever diseases that they have today, like simple chronic diseases and That is something that we can do today. That'll probably give them another 5-10 years time. One. And the next is bring in all those gene therapies that all of you are working on, bring it to people. We are building a distribution channel where maximum number of people will get access to it. That is number 2. Number 3 is that there's a second tier. We need to do this for another 5-10 years time because that is the only science that is available. But number 3 is what is really keeping me excited is that can you really make everybody so much more mentally capable than they are today in a way that is meaningful for them? When we are able to do that, I think there will be more and more people like you who will come and pick apart, all the climate problems, all the environmental issues, all the food-related issues. And what? Every existential problem that we have today will get vanquished. Of course, somebody will also invent a new existential problem. And I don't know what. I think a world like that will be so much more beautiful than what we can probably imagine today. That is a dream I can give every day of the rest of my life. It'll only get better.
Okay, so that's what you want to do in this near term. What about the 30, 40, 50? Okay, you have indefinite time. What are you going to do with it? You're going to continue to help people with this.
This problem, I think, will be over in 20 to 30 years' time. In 20, 30 years' time, I think there are a lot of people who are working on this problem. The problem will get solved. Whether I'm there or not, these problems will get solved. I think the difference that I will make, I can contribute, is to ensure that this is, you heard about the saying, right? Future is already here, it's just not evenly distributed. This future is already here. People have been reversing diabetes for 15, 20 years now. But even today, there are people who live without knowing that diabetes is reversible. So like this, you had your gene therapy done 8 years ago, 9 years ago. But even now, people don't know that these things exist, right? Distribution, I think, is the biggest problem. And solving that, I think, is going to be my contribution. But I think it'll be done in about 20 years' time. Maybe less than that, given that technology is growing exponentially. After that, Liz, I don't know what to do. If you ask me now, I think I'll become a brain in a vat, take my brain, put it somewhere, and then, connect myself to Matrix, live happily for rest of, I don't know what, eternity.
What would happen in that matrix? What would make living in a matrix worth it for you? Like, what would your world be like? Let's say you just connected your brain to a bunch of things and you lived in this virtual world. What would Saravanan's perfect world be? Tell me.
Well, okay, we are going on the deep end here.
Yeah, well, why not?
Well, in a world where I can take my brain and put it in a vat, or take my brain and put it into a computer that becomes eternal, and I can make multiple copies of it, why not? If I can, I can. And then you can make a multiple copy of your brain, and there is going to be a billion copies of everybody's brain. And I think the purpose of existence beyond that point is just existence, or nothing more. You just live. I think that would be the ultimate drug, where you just live because you want to live. I don't think it's a big vacuum. I don't think there is anything beyond that.
Is there a visualization? What is the world like? What do you interface with? What do you want to? What would your world look like? Because you would be living in it.
I think it will eventually turn out to be multiple parallel universes of my own universe. I'm not talking about physical universe. I'm talking about my own universes. And today, let's say, I say that, okay, I'm going to be a rich man today, so I can be a rich man. I don't have to really be a rich man. What is a rich man? Rich person is somebody who has the capacity to allocate the capital in a large amount of capital, right? I don't have to actually have the capacity to allocate a large amount of capital. I just have to be able to believe that, it's okay if it's a monopoly money, as long as I believe that that's the reality. And so I can be I don't know, maybe a musician if it's important for me, or I can do whatever I want, and I can have multiple versions of myself and be that. I think that's the only thing that all of us are going to land up in. Or in a world where lives are going to be dematerialized. And I think in about 50 years' time, probably we will all be demattered. So once we are all demattered, Liz, I'm talking to you at speed of thought. You are in the other part of the world. So maybe, you and I can be in the same room, and my colleagues who are sitting here, another version of me can be in the same room. Being one of the people who believes in what future the Ray Kurzweil is talking about, I think that future cannot be imagined.
I feel like I'm more like a steward of the land. I feel like I'm more of a, I will be like trying to ensure the safety and the that the earth sort of has this reborn, refreshed vegetation and animals, and I'll have this little attachment in my brain where I can communicate with everybody that's sort of in their stasis machines in their perfect worlds, and I'll be gardening. I'll literally be gardening and having, I don't know, like I figure it'll be like a huge planetary refurbishing of animals, well, many animals are going to go out of existence.
Don't worry about it. We can bring back all the animals. It's just a matter of another 10 years' time, probably. Not more than that. We can bring back every animal that went extinct.
Well, the interesting thing is we can, but it's kind of, I think it's an interesting conversation of whether we should. So, historically animals go extinct because the planet changes, and the planet is changing. I mean, I'm absolutely amazed by everything from the Permian period all the way to the period that we live in now. And I would be so interested to see new periods of time and what that actually brings. Like, I'm so excited about VR because it is this immersive world. But I personally hope that I never get so caught up that I detach. Like, somebody's got to run this show while everybody's mind uploaded. So I want to create this perfect Eden on the planet. As there's all this medical equipment now that can keep your muscles in good form, even if you were, let's say, enjoying an adventure for months or a year, maybe in a VR guided situation in which you felt completely immersed in another life. It's amazing.
Yeah, totally. I'm sure that is needed when you get to travel to Mars. So what are you going to be doing for the next 1-2 years time before you reach the new planet? And what are you going to be doing in the new planet? It's going to be like battle place. Yeah, you need to be into a lot of VR. Yeah, you need to be in a battle place, and then you have to be listening to His Excellency Elon all the time, right? Would you be able to tolerate that?
At least he'll keep you highly amused. I do find him to be an amusing person. But yeah, I think that maybe vacationing on the moon is a near-term sort of excitement that will happen for people. But even it is a long ways away. I'm really excited about other close planets that are Earth-like. I would love to garden on them, see what they have. But yeah, I think that either it's got to be like an immersive experience where, your muscles are worked out whilst you feel like you are somewhere else while you travel for these long periods of time. But, the CSO of BioViva right now, our original chief scientific officer, is in a 370 some days NASA experience because she wants to go to Mars. And I'm so connected with people who want to do amazing things. And so she's right now in an environment that is very limited with a few people, and they're working with limited equipment and, limited space to see if they have got what it takes, to see if they're the right stuff for that sort of endeavor. Or the second thing is to slow metabolism, almost like a cryopreservation of the body, so that it seems like the time was basically you had a good nap and then you woke up in your location. But if you're biologically aging, and then you're biologically aging exponentially because you are in space, and that is actually very hard on your body. It gives you accelerated aging. the cryopreservation is probably the better of the two, but maybe there's a way to do both.
Fantastic. Okay. Next question to you. What to a point in time, however old somebody is, at any given time in their life, if they're productive, the amount of money that they will make in the next 10 years is going to be much more than the amount of money they made in all their previous years put together. So let's say that you may live for another 10 years and maybe, you make so much of money, you're a billionaire. And then you live for another 10 more years, and then you continue to be as productive, work on something, just breakthrough, and then you get your breakthrough, whatever. Another 10, 20, 30 years, and probably, you accumulate so much of wealth, assuming that it's important for you. I don't know whether it's important for you or not. Assume that it's important for you. You have a lot of money. You have a lot of money. You have a lot of time. You don't know what to do with all the time that you have in your hands. You don't know what to do with all the money that you have in your hands. That much of time and money. What will you do?
So anyone who knows me knows that I'm not a $20,000 bag person. I'm not interested in those kind of things. My interests, of course, are after we cure aging to do human enhancement so that people live the life that they want to live. Let's say they want to rock climb, but they've never been biologically set up for it. I would like to make sure they could do that. If they want to have pentachromacy, being able to see in billions of colors instead of millions of colors, I want them to be able to do that. If they want to be enhanced for space travel or deep sea exploration and living, I want to be able to do that. But I also think that land preservation is highly important. So with money, you have the ability to create parks. You have the ability to preserve land for natural species. And again, it fits my plan to be able to do that, to create experiences so that people can come out and see the natural world while it regrows and understand the value of sustainability and the value of allowing other species to live as freely as we do. So, gosh, I can't think of a number that I would be done, because there's so much preservation to do. There's so much innovation to do. Again, new and cleaner food sources, new and cleaner energy. I mean, there's no, it's eventually, I imagine that what we'll do as a species is we'll start to do value added projects that have people don't put a price tag on them anymore. But as far as the accumulation of wealth and the amount of things that I could do with that to give back to make the world a better place, I mean, I literally would need to have trillions of dollars coming in to create the future that I would want to create in today's monetized society. But it wouldn't be bags. Now, to you, what would you do?
Okay. You know what? If I don't need trillions of dollars for it, but then let's say that I have next 5 years as productive. The first thing I'll probably do is to set up an accelerator, right? Business accelerator or innovation accelerator for older people. What do I see is people in their 50s, 60s, 40s and all that, particularly people in the 50s and 60s, they have a lot of wisdom. They don't think that they have enough time, so they don't make plans for 20, 30 years time. But then now that you tell them that, hey, it's okay for you to make a plan for next 20, 30 years time because you're going to live healthy. You're going to be fitter, you're going to be sharper. Now what are these people going to do? Are they all going to be traveling around the world? Are they all going to be traveling, get onto some spiritual trip and go and sit in Himalayas or I don't know what? Or are they going to say that I'm going to solve the problems the world has? There is a cohort of people who want to do something. They don't know how to do it. They don't know how to take a small business idea and build it into a multi-billion-dollar business. I would like to create something that will teach these people how to take their wisdom and then spin it off into something that has a huge impact in a short period of time. So I would like to think of it like a Y Combinator for 50-something. People in their 50s and 60s. That doesn't exist in the world. The Y Combinator for people in the 20s and 30s just does not work for people in our age group, I'd like to start something.
I think that that's amazing because actually the thing is that the Y Combinators that have been set up for young people, they're kind of like that fell fast system, whereas people who are more mature, we're not interested in failing.
I also find that when I go and talk to younger founders, the problems that they work with, to me, it appears like a peppermint, or a toy. It's like so small. The problem is so small. It's like, hey, will I even consider working on something like that for the next 5, 10 years of my life? Probably not. Uh, but then because we have lived 30, 40, 50 years, and we are able to now see much bigger problems, much deeper. When older people think that they can build something substantial, they will come with problems that are much more impactful. And number two, what I think also is that what you pointed out, I think if you have about 30 years of experience behind you, even if it is just an experience in a corporate setup, not as an entrepreneur, you are likely to build something that can very easily scale up to hundreds of millions of dollars, if not billions of dollars, based on today's scale. A lot more of them will be unicorns, billion-dollar companies. A Y Combinator for older people, I think, will be a lot more successful, will make a lot more money than Y Combinator for younger people. That's what I think.
I think that's really interesting, and I think that there's so much talent out there that is going unused, and I know that I mean, as we know, populations are aging all over the world, and we have more people over the age of 65 than under the age of 5. And the sad thing is that people are retiring when they're at high value because their bodies are feeling broken. We should not squander old age. It should be a high value proposition for doing amazing things. And, I think that I am a good example of, being a mother for many years and then finding a problem and wanting to solve that problem. And if I can do it, I could motivate millions of women and men, hopefully too, to do the same. And so I like your idea immensely. And I think that a lot of it is just motivating these people to realize that you have value, whether or not you see it, and that, self-esteem is not required to do something amazing. As a matter of fact, laying the ego aside gives us the ability to do even more than we can do with it. And so, yeah, let's get these people to work. Let's get them healthy, and let's let them show their magnitude of ability and capacity for achieving amazing things. I think that would be highly valuable to society. I like your plan.
Thank you very much. In fact, I like the point that you brought out. A lot of people, in case if they have the first 30 years of their life, if you just went without anything substantial, many of them might end up putting themselves into a bucket. And that's what he said when self-esteem is not all that mandatory. Inspiring people, making them believe that it's, the next 30 years can be very different from the first 30 years. I think that is also very, very interesting, this.
Yeah, and I think that people have this. They know it inside them. And let me ask you, what did you do to make this major change in your life with your health? If anybody has not seen this, go back and watch podcast episode 2. What motivated you to do that? Unfortunately, because it's often people that they love and care about, are the people around them. The people around them would say, you can't do this. You can't do something new. You can't get your health under control. You're not qualified to start a business. You can't change the world. It's too hard. How did you do that? Because it takes a special circumstance for a person to say, I am going to make a major change. How did you break that mold and say, no, I'm going to make a difference. I'm going to really try to change my life for the better and other people's too? What gave you the audacity to think you could do that?
I don't want to glorify myself, Liz. I tell you what, all through my
It's
life been a
not.
rebel.
But it's a
I understand.
superpower. You did something that most people can't do. How did you do it?
I've been a rebel all through my life, and I've learned to hide it well these days. But I've been. It's so difficult for me to abide by rules. Rules just don't exist. I have to consciously tell myself that, hey, no, you can't cross this. So it's, I don't have to teach myself to break the rules. I have to teach myself repeatedly to follow the rules. So, so I was born with some part of my brain not working properly. I think that's a honest answer.
Oh, but I mean that's a wonderful answer, because it's I mean that was I think the most impactful part of learning philosophy is that rules only exist because we decide that they do, and it really rings with me because that was when I started my journey. I said, why can't I take a gene therapy? Why is it illegal? Why can't I choose for myself? And then I said, well, why can't other people as well? Like that can't just be for me. Why can't we choose to make our life better? And why do we have to be stifled and kept from doing what we want to do because somebody wrote something down at one point? How does somebody has control over my body? And so I think that that's beautiful that you say that because there's some point in our life where we have that situation of whether we live and die by somebody else's rules because they wrote them.
It's so sad that some bureaucrat somewhere decided that you're not supposed to do this, and then you're gonna die early because of that. It's pretty sad. Fortunately, I live in a part of the world where health is not over-regulated like it is in the West. I know that you made a lot of change in your life. The life trajectory changed around about 2015 when you started traveling, and then you got yourself a gene therapy, and then you jumped into uh, making gene therapy into, bringing it to people. You started BioViva. Your personal life should have gone through a lot of change. So how did you manage that?
My story starts with a sick child, and it literally shattered my mind. I can't explain to you, like, my children were raised vegetarian. They were, raised on organic food, and they were raised, everything like hand done. And, my children's birthdays, I sometimes even hand sewed gifts for other children. I mean, my perfect world was completely destroyed with the diagnosis of my son's disease. My son was diagnosed with type 1 diabetes. And sometimes it takes this radical shift. It's just a moment of awakening that, I mean, obviously spun me into decisions that I would have never guessed that I would make for myself. And so I think that that is why I always tell people to look forward to the future, that they'll be doing things that they can't imagine that they would do, that they will make choices and they're not stuck. So that's how my journey started. It certainly didn't start with self-esteem or the wherewithal to tackle huge problems. I was thrown at a problem, and I was, basically had to make a decision. Do I just stay home and make food and bake cookies and give my son insulin? No, I mean, I went and I wrote a whole new set of regulations for a pre-regulatory route for any country, including the United States. I started a company around it. I started 2 gene therapy companies. No, did I think that I was qualified or capable of doing those things? No, but nothing was going to stop me from doing that. It's not your background. It's where you're going. You can make a huge change in the world, and you are qualified just by wanting.
I think you should keep inspiring more and more people, know that they're going to have so much of time in front of them. It's okay if your last 30 years has been wasted. Make sure that your next 30 years, next 50 years, you can live the way that you want. You can probably live better than the way that you want. And if you can just convince people of that, inspire people to think that, that would be amazing. And I think you are an example. You are living that life.
Well, I mean, what you're saying is so important because look, you and I are solving problems later in our life, but I need the people listening, the people that we can motivate to solve problems for us too, right? Like we need to mobilize everyone because the two of us can't solve all of the problems. I mean, so whoever is listening, don't think, oh, well, you guys have it and you're going to make the future awesome for us. No, no, please join. Like you said, these people have so much value. They need to join. They need to know how to get involved. And I think that that's what I like about your Y Combinator for people over a certain age is that we could actually work together to help keep them motivated, to have an actual community. I can't imagine if I would have had a community, I'd probably be 10 times farther than I am today in my career.
It's a beautiful thought, Liz, to have a community of people who will solve problem for you and for whom you can solve the problem, and to bring in people who have immense capability, who have a lot of time, and who don't think that their life amounted to anything, but then now they have another shot. How do you get this started?
Well, I think we get it started by conversation. There's always like this 5-year-old that can play amazing piano, and I'm so proud of those kids that can do that, right? But like, you can be the piano player in your 80s or your 90s, the equivalent, right? We have to realize that, yeah, some people have made it big, they've made a ton of money, or they've done amazing things. And we need to learn to celebrate each other and say, that's amazing, because that shows that we can do amazing things. But you need to not judge yourself. And you need to not like say, well, I didn't do that at the age of 5, and therefore my life is over, because sometimes people really do feel that way. So by coming together and creating conversation and having a supportive network, again, I love your idea, and, motivating people, and just, obviously, we're all busy people, but to give a word of kindness and you can do it. And here's some things that I know to get you started, and to have a yearly or bi-yearly meetup of these people. That would just be absolutely. I'm so sold into your plan. I love it.
Your enthusiasm, it breathes life into some of the ideas that we were just talking about, and it just makes it come alive. I'm just wondering if you can, why don't we create a wishing wall? Maybe one here in India somewhere, and maybe one in Seattle, where we can get people of a certain age group and come and write on the wall, what would they do in case if they had another 30, 40, 50 years of their life.
I would absolutely love that. Could we start it? So in this video, could we start it in the comment section and allow people to say their vision? I mean, that would be wonderful, because it's always great to hear from people and see what their vision is. We all have a different experience. We all have a different fingerprint, right? And it would be wonderful to see some of the problems that people would like to solve, and to sort of just throw their name into the bucket of being someone who maybe wants to be part of this vision. And then we can expand it all over the world. I mean, we have the ability to be global. Anyone in any country has the ability to make a difference, regardless of your background, regardless of your education. All you need to have is ambition. So if we're opening that up, what would you do? What do you want to do? Put it in the comments. I think that is a really cool idea.
I just realized that there is nothing like World Longevity Day. We have World Everything Day, right? We have some World Apple Pie Day, some crap like that, right? So there's nothing like World Longevity Day. Probably, we need to create something called World Longevity Day. And then on that day, we do something.
That's a great idea.
Okay. You pick a date and then we will do that.
The buying time day, the day we buy time.
Yeah, the day we buy time. Yeah, something like that. And we do a project, and we'll make it a global project, and we will call. It could just be 10 people sitting in a Starbucks, or 5 people, 4 people sitting in Starbucks in different cities in the world is fine. But and then let's say there are 3 such groups, or maybe like 30 groups around the world is good enough. And the mission is going to be to help people imagine something that they have never imagined. Nobody ever thought, hey, what will I do in case if I'm healthier, fitter than I am today by the time I turn 100? So and nobody ever thought, you know what, my life became this, but then now I have another 30, 40 years time. Can I have a different life? And what will that be? And why should I have it?
Why shouldn't you? Yeah, I guess that's the big question. Why shouldn't you? And if I always wonder too why people say, "Oh, I would go back to being like a teenager." I think that's kind of limited. I think you want to go forward and be like someone who is youthful and robust, who isn't a teenager, but I don't think you'd be doing all the teenager things because you've got like a whole new outlook on life, but maybe you would, and maybe that's what you want to do. But I'm definitely excited about it.
Great, great. So we are going to request of people to put in the comment what are they going to be doing, and then we will come up with a buying time day or something like that.
We will.
On that day, we are going to have a bunch of people from around the world to do something.
Get together with like-minded people, do a meetup, and find people who want to live another 40 or 50 years and who want to do something amazing in that time and maybe even well beyond that. I think that'll be really interesting
nice.
and amazing.
That sounds wonderful.
Mind expanding.
Yeah, totally. Totally fantastic.
Okay, on that, we're going to wrap it up. This is just, to me, I think I could go on for like 3 or 4 hours, but we're going to make different podcasts and we're going to have different guests and we're going to continue to enlighten you on the future, where we are now and where we're going. So thank you so much for being here and have a wonderful morning, afternoon, or evening.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. And very soon we will find a reason why you all should be living forever.